This is the true story of Tommy and Richard, a seemingly ordinary couple whose romantic island getaway turned into an unimaginable nightmare under the relentless blue sky. They were experienced divers, seeking the quiet beauty beneath the waves. Unaware that the surface world they left behind was about to betray them entirely, they plunged into the vibrant depths, surrounded by coral and exotic life, enjoying the perfect tranquility of the deep. When they finally ascended, exhilarated and ready to return, they found nothing but the vast, indifferent expanse of the open sea. Their boat was gone. It was a mistake, a terrifying bureaucratic failure by a charter company that simply miscounted its passengers. In the space of 1 hour, Tommy and Richard went from vacationers to castaways, stranded miles from shore in the deepest part of the ocean. The initial shock was immediate, sharp, and paralyzing. They were floating specks in an endless blue void, surrounded by water that offered no purchase, no shelter, and no hope of quick rescue. The sun beat down with savage intensity, quickly burning their skin and sapping their strength. They tried shouting, desperately scanning the horizon for any sign of the vessel that had abandoned them. But the ocean offered only silence in return. As hours bled into the late afternoon, the sheer enormity of their isolation began to settle, transforming their fear into a chilling, primal terror. The waves, once playful, now seemed menacing, each swell reminding them just how small and vulnerable they truly were. They tried to conserve energy, clinging to each other, attempting to maintain a rational conversation about their chances. But the conversation kept circling back to the impossibility of their situation. This was the ocean's territory now, and they were trespassers. The psychological descent began subtly, driven by dehydration and the exhaustion of fighting the constant current. Every shadow beneath the surface became a threat, every distant splash a possible omen of what was lurking below. As dusk approached, the temperature dropped, replacing the searing heat with a bone-chilling cold that seemed to penetrate their very core. The transition from day to night was the worst the moment the water turned from beautiful turquoise to an impenetrable, ominous black. When darkness finally consumed the ocean, their fear reached a crescendo. They were alone with the sounds of the deep, sounds they could not identify, and the constant, unnerving rocking of the waves. It was then they saw the fins. Sleek, silent, and undeniable, the shadows circled them, drawn by the disturbance and the scent of desperation. They were no longer simply stranded. They were hunted, trapped in a watery cage with predators that moved with terrifying efficiency. The sharks were a constant, terrifying presence, circling closer and closer, testing the boundaries of the couple's rapidly fraying sanity. Tommy and Richard had to fight not only the elements, but the overwhelming realization that they might literally be eaten alive. They spent the night fighting sleep, fighting despair, and fighting the silent, patient hunters below. Exhaustion made them sloppy, and the slightest movement could draw unwanted, hungry attention. The terror of the sharks was compounded by the growing internal strife. They argued, they apologized, they clung to each other in brief moments of tearful clarity, only to be dragged back into the raw, desperate survival mode. By the next morning, the sun offered no warmth, only a harsh spotlight on their inevitable demise. Richard, suffering from debilitating bites and intense blood loss, struggled to stay conscious, his strength fading fast. Tommy watched helplessly as the man she loved began to drift, both physically and mentally, succumbing to the exposure and the trauma. The sharks, sensing weakness, grew bolder, their movements more aggressive. In a heartbreaking act of despair and love, knowing he was only anchoring her to a doomed fate, Richard made a decision that sealed his destiny. Tommy awoke to find herself alone, her husband having slipped away into the depths, sacrificing himself to give her a minuscule chance at survival. Tommy was left to face the indifferent ocean and the persistent predators completely by herself. The raw, guttural fear of isolation mixed with overwhelming grief became her new reality. She drifted for another harrowing day, battling hallucinations, praying for a rescue that felt increasingly impossible, and avoiding the hungry jaws that continued to patrol her perimeter. She was eventually found, rescued in a state of near death, the sole survivor of a holiday gone tragically wrong. She returned home, carrying the invisible scars of the sea, the true terror of being forgotten miles from civilization. The story of Tommy and Richard remains a chilling testament to the unforgiving nature of the open ocean and the ultimate fragility of human life when faced with primal forces. It serves as a stark reminder that sometimes the most beautiful environments hide the most terrifying realities. If this descent into isolation and raw survival grips you, and you want to explore more true stories of terrifying human endurance against overwhelming odds, make sure you check out the full breakdown on my channel. Subscribe to Movies Recap Repo for more deep dives into the films and true events that prove just how quickly life can turn into a nightmare. Don't forget to ring that notification bell so you never miss another recap.